Oh, come on, listen. I first, I think.
Come on, tell me, Daddy.
No, I said.
Sometime I want to find out. I want to be able to remember. I can't remember all this stuff.
You can, huh? Yeah, my first job was reading gas meters. And believe me, that's when I got sick of dogs. I had so many encounters with dogs going up and down basement stairs. The meters weren't outside them days. They were in the basement or under a porch or so on and so forth, you know.
Well, you said you were earning...
And I don't know what I was earning then. Then my next job was office boy, Standard Tank Car Company. $40 a month. I worked there about 3 years.
Just forget about that.
Huh?
Just forget about that.
That
was before the Depression.
Yeah. And then the telegraph operator quit, so I got that job at $60 a month. But I couldn't run the telegraph. I sent the telegrams over the phone and stuff. And then I went to Standard Tank Car Company.
That was Mary worked for this?
No, that's where I was getting the $40 a month. Then I got laid off out there. That's where Mary worked.
How long did you work for them?
3.5 years.
Was that when the Depression came?
Yeah.
You got laid off?
That was in 24, 25, 26. Then I got laid off. Then I got a job at the Buell Hospital in Sharon. I was a bookkeeper for 6 months. While the bookkeeper, I took a 6-month leave and went to Florida. So I run the books for 6 months.
Is that the one on off the street where the church used to be?
Mm-hmm.
That's still there?
Oh yeah, that's where the hospital. It's enlarged now. The hospital.
I thought that was Sharon Hospital.
It is now. It was Buell Hospital then.
Oh.
And then for about 6 months I was out of work. I played tennis, I think, every day.
What'd your mother say?
Nothing else to do. So then I went to Youngstown. I put an application in at the employment agency over there. And I got a job at the DPR Construction Company for $125 a month, taking shorthand, typing.
Oh.
And I worked there 3 months, and May the 15th was payday, and the boss handed me a check and said, "Don't come back, you're done." Because one of the engineers was complaining I didn't know how to spell them big words as he, which I never even heard the words before. So then I went home, and Dad says, "Yeah, I knew you'd be back home, living off us again."
Oh, where were you living then?
I was rooming and boarding in Youngstown.
Oh.
So I said, "No way am I coming home." So the next Monday morning I went back to the same place and applied for a job.
Forget that sort of thing there. I just wanted to do while we were talking, right?
Oh. And Sam Smith, foreman, said, what can you do? I said, "What do you got to do?" He says, "Pick and shovel." So I said, "Okay, I'll take it." So I started work the next day. 10 hours a day, 44 cents an hour. And I worked there 3 days, pick and shovel. I never worked so hard in my life. So Sam says, "John, I think you really want a job." So he gave me a job as just picking up the tools that the fellows leave later on, taking back to the tool house, which was a lot easier job. Well, then I put an application in at the employment agency again. And I got a call one day that International Harvester was looking for a clerk for the office out there.
What about climbing? You told me...
Well, then, but he would only pay $80 a month. And this other job I was making about $140. So I thought, well, I said to Ray Holman, who was a manager, I said, "Ray," I said, "it ain't much money, but I said, let me think about it." He says, well, I'll give you till June the 1st. I'll hold the job for you. So about the next day, the pulley fell off a rope and almost killed a guy. And next couple of days later, a guy fell off a ramp and got pretty well banged up. Then about the next day, I was walking across a 12-inch I-beam and I slipped. And man, I hung onto that thing for about 10 minutes before I moved. Because there was about 100 feet drop right there. So I thought, well, you know, I think somebody's trying to tell me something. So I went to Sam and I said, Sam, I'm quitting as of Saturday.
Well, what if you said you were picking up stuff? What if you said,
tools.
Yeah. What if you just
Taking it back to the tool room.
You didn't have to climb for that.
Yeah, the people leave stuff lay all over the place, you know.
Oh.
That's how my job was, walking around and picking up anything I could find in the way of tools, ropes, pulleys, or anything. You know?
Oh.
So Sam says, well, tell you what, I'll give you an assistant mechanic's job, 75 cents an hour, which was darn near double. He says, if you want to stay. Well, that made me thinking again, but I didn't think much. Just about the next day I said, no, Sam, because those guys had to catch hot rivets in these things and all that and still climb around, you know. So I went to International Harvester. He did get me $5 more a month. Got me $85 a month.
Now, what year was that?
1928, June the 1st, I started. And I worked there 7 months. And got in a fight with one of the salesmen about talking back to him in front of a customer or something. He tried to get me fired. And, well, rather than fire me, the company transferred me to Cleveland. And I was credit clerk up there. I was a service station clerk in Youngstown. And I went to Cleveland. And I was
You
up...
talked back to the guy?
Huh?
You talked back to the guy?
Oh, to the salesman.
Yeah?
Well, I asked the boss if I could take a truck, drive over to Sharon that night. I wanted to go home, which was about 13 miles away. And he says, yeah. So I was putting plates on it, and the salesman told me I couldn't take it. And I told him, heck, I can. I'm taking it. So I did. But anyhow, he tried to get me fired, and so they transferred me to Cleveland. And I was credit clerk, and I worked up there just about a year and a month. And I was rooming and boarding on East 88th Street. And,
Did you own a car as well? No, that was later on. You used to drive. Is that where you got Joey the Clink and Cleveland?
oh no. And then, I used to go to dances and had a lot of girlfriends. Picked them up at the dance. Different one about every week, you know, take them home.
You had a car?
No, took them home in a streetcar.
Oh, I remember the streetcar. Okay.
And then one Saturday morning, they called me in the office and said, start Monday morning, I'm working in Akron. Office manager down at the Akron branch, because the office manager stole $1,000 and went west. They figured I had enough know-how to handle a job, so I came to Akron.
What were you going to do? What was your job there?
Office manager. There was only me and a girl, but I was office manager. And so I started there in February, I think it was, 1930. Yeah. And I roomed at a house on West Thornton Street. And I ate at the restaurant there, right a couple doors from the branch, down on South Main Street. And I started running around with one of the waitresses.
How much were you making there?
Huh?
How much did they
Oh, they
the manager?
I was still getting 125.
Yeah.
I started 85, went to 105, went to Cleveland, and I got 125 in Akron. So anyhow, she was a divorcee, and Vic told me I couldn't go out with her. I said I thought I could. She said, you go ask Father. So I asked Father, and he said no. So while I was talking to him, I said, hey, I'd like the family around here. I could room and board. So he said, well, maybe I can find you something. So a couple of days later, he called me, and I was up to Grandma Glasser on Russell Avenue.
On Russell Avenue. Do you know the street across the park behind our park is Russell Street?
Yeah.
It's right, right the next street down.
So I went up, and Grandma said, well, here's what I got. If you want to eat what we eat, it's all right. $12 a week, I think it was. Room and board.
$12 a week?
Room and board.
Jesus.
And I think, I know it was Rosie had come down to visit Grandma during the summer. Grandma always kept telling me, well, you meet Bernadette, you know. So August the 17th was a family reunion, and that's when I met Bernadette. And so we went together. That was in 30. We got married in 32.
What? Did you get a salary cut during the Depression? What happened?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, then the Depression hit, and they cut us down. Well, it was 3 days before I got married. I called the office for something rather, and then they told me that everybody got a cut in pay, and I was down to $105 from $125. That was a good wedding present, you know.
You had, what, your time off was cut back too?
Yeah, from 2 weeks vacation to 1, but the boss says, go on, take at least 10 days, so I did.
Well, when did they get a boss and stuff? You were office manager. What was, you moved down?
Oh, well, no, then in 34, you were born already.
No, but you said when you moved to Akron,
yeah.
You moved to Akron because the office manager went out west?
Yes.
How many people were working at International then? Was it a big place?
Oh, yeah, there was a salesman, an office, manager. And
what's the manager do? What did you do? Office manager?
I just took care of the office work. There was a parts department, a service department.
Well, who ran the place? Who's the boss?
Mr. Nash. He was a branch manager.
Office manager and branch manager.
Yeah, a lot of difference.
Santa Rosa.
And then in 1934.
That's right. Then I was born in 33.
Yeah.
And then you wanted some more money.
And
we were take a chance being.
No, we were expecting again, I guess. Expecting Dan.
Yeah.
And I told the boss I had to have more money. So the district had a branch manager from Cleveland who was over the Akron branch come down, and so he told him what I said, and he called me in, and he says, no way could they pay me any more money in that job. See? But if I wanted to go on sale, one of the salesmen was told to leave. I could take over his accounts and go on sale at the same pay, unless I sold something and made more money. So the first month I made $220. In the second month I made $180. In the third month I was doing pretty good when the big shot came down from Cleveland and said, what are you going to do? And he told me, you don't have any office job that would make me happy anymore. In the first year on sales, I I averaged $220 a month. So that was my career. I was a salesman. Never knew it, but I was.
Well, how much did you pay? You had to pay some Neptune.
Neptune paid $22.50 a month, and we got married for a house, 6-room house.
What?
The garage, a month.
Renting it?
Yeah.
Oh, you rented Neptune? Who owned it?
You know,
the people right next door, whatever?
No. Can't think of their name now. Heinlein's lived next door.
On Neptune?
Yeah. Well, then we lived there for about 3 years, I guess.
Yep, you were still living there when Danny came home, because I can remember you being Danny.
And then
the front door there?
Corvette.
Corvettes? Oh, they owned it?
They owned it.
Oh, wait a second.
But the real estate company repossessed it from them because they weren't making a payment.
Oh, what? With the rent you were paying, weren't you paying enough rent to cover your mortgage?
I don't know. All I know is they lost it. They were having a rough time. They had bought another place.
Oh. Look, if I was in the...
And then they went to sell the thing. That's when I decided that house up on Burkhart was for rent. So I got out before they put me out.
Oh. What'd that cost to rent there? You rented that?
I rented that for $40 a month.
Yeah?
And I rented the upstairs out for $20. Mrs. Dennis.
Mrs. Dennis owned that?
No.
No, to her. Yeah, that's right. She lived there.
She rented from me.
She and Frankie lived there.
And then after about 2 or 3 years, somebody come around looking at that to buy it. So I got a hold of the guy from the Home Savings and Loan Company. And I said, "Is this house for sale?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I thought I could keep renting it." He said, "Everything we got's for sale." And I said, "Well, what do you want for this?" He said, $5,700. I said, "What can I buy it for?" He said, $5,600.
Is that expensive in those days?
Yeah, it's cheap. So I said, "Well, how much down payment do you need?" He said, "Well, I can sell it to you for $300 down on a land contract."
Oh.
I didn't know what a land contract was anymore.
I just
No
found
man
out
in the moon.
2 days ago.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. So I said, "Okay, I'll buy it." I didn't know where I was going to get the $300, but I dug it up somehow. My payments... No, my payments were $53 a month then. And I raised the rent upstairs to $25. And then after I had so much paid in, they gave me a mortgage on it. I took a mortgage on it.
Oh.
And we lived there about 6-7 years till the war come on. And...
Oh, wait, Neptune, before you...
Yeah.
If you stood in the living room or the kitchen, whatever it was, looking out to the street, into the living room, wasn't the entrance on Neptune on that side?
Mm-hmm.
Was there, I don't know if there was a stairway that went up there?
Yeah.
There was? See, I can remember Mama bringing Danny through the door. That's the earliest memory I've got.
Yeah.
I could have only been 2 years older.
So then then I went to work in Cleveland during the war. Worked for Gil.
You know, you were saying 5 months earlier you would put him in business. What does he mean? That he could have, his whole life could have been changed.
Oh, yeah. Well...
And after the war?
After I got to working for Gil, he had a chance to buy permits. He always wanted his own permits. He had a chance to get some. This old fellow said, "You got the trucks, Gil, I've got the permits." we'll go in partnership, 50-50 deal. You furnish the trucks, I furnish the permits, and we'll split the business here. And he says, he was up in the years, and he said, after a few years, he said, what the heck, I'll sell you my half of it. You would have no part of a partnership.
Oh.
So he wouldn't take it. If he would have, I'd probably still been in the trucking business maybe. And then he had a chance to get the contract from what's that bottling company? Big bottling company. It's film business, I mean.
Up in Cleveland?
No, it's national.
Bauer.
Soft drinks, you know.
Coca-Cola? Pepsi-Cola?
No.
Is that a...
Ginger ale.
Oh, something like Canadian Bauer, Canada Dry. Something like that, huh?
Yeah. He had a chance to get that contract all out of Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And because the guy that had it, his equipment wouldn't stand it, we were wildcatting a lot of it out. So when they asked Gil if he wanted it, they told him how much they'd pay him a case. That's bringing that full ones up and taking empty back, which was more than what we were getting from hauling it for the contractor, you know. So he said no, he wanted so much more a case, so they wouldn't give it to him. So he didn't get it. So after about 3.5 years, I had to go back to work international 1 week out of every year to keep my seniority. And around Labor Day.
What'd you do?
I worked in, first year I worked in the office up in Cleveland. And the next 2 years
selling any trucks?
Oh no, there was no trucks to sell in there.
Well, just parts and...
So then I worked in the parts department for a week. 20 hours, I just worked the afternoons. 20 hours a week, got $20. And then Labor Day in 45, the war was over, and I went back to Akron and went back to South.
That's when you bought the house out of 222. And man, we spent that summer steaming wallpaper off hundreds of layers.
Bought the house, 222 Swartz Road. Lived there 7 years.
Did Grandpa help us wallpaper?
Oh, he papered it, yeah. And Uncle Don come over, I got somebody, Uncle Don helped me, and then Uncle Don got somebody to fix the plaster and stuff, you know. And we
built a new garage, too.
Yeah, we built a new garage. Lived there about 7 years. Put an oil furnace in.
Yep.
Oil burner in the furnace, rather. And,
was it coal before that?
Yeah.
It had been coal.
Oh, yeah.
We had coal at Burkhardt, right?
We had coal at Burkhardt. We had steam heat. And we had coal.
Yeah. I remember that.
And then we bought the place down the street. I paid, let's see.
You paid about $56 for the one
No,
the 22.
The one on Burkhardt, I paid $5,600 for it. And when we moved to Cleveland, finally, I sold it for $87.50.
Yeah, and you bought it 114th Street.
I bought the one on 114th Street for $6,000.
That was a nice house. It came right next to the railroad.
And then when we sold that, I got $67.50 for it. And I bought the one on Swartz Road for $6,000, which included 100 chickens and a cow. And
I never saw the cow. The chickens I remember.
And we lived there 7 years. And I traded it on the 141 Swartz Road for. They were asking 19 for that, and I gave them 7 different, so I got 12,000 for the one on 141. We lived there 26 years.
Yeah. Oh man,
Things were different then.
Well, did the prices and the costs of everything go down during the Depression? Is that moving?
Yeah, it's moving. And then on actually, well, we built the garage there on 141. We hauled in a lot of dirt.
Oh, well, I got pictures of you and Adrian and all that. You tore down the chicken coop.
Yeah. I think that's where I got my heart attack from.
Tearing down the chicken coop and stuff?
I would work until I was ready to drop, and I'd rest a while. And I'd go at it again. It was all hard.
What was it, during the summer?
Yeah, it was all hardwood lumber, and the nails were buried in there. They just didn't want it. That was the hardest job I think I ever did.
So I was just wondering how you got the heart attack. Didn't remember.
I think that's when I damaged my heart.
Oh. So anyway, so you met Ma at the picnic.
Family reunion.
You know, I was asking Uncle Paul yesterday, I said, I can remember, I swear that you used to go up to Cleveland and get those kids all out in the backyard and play softball. I said, I can't imagine how you had played softball like that. He said, man, your dad had 100 rules for he had a rule for everything. No matter where you were, you could figure out rules to the game. You hit the garage on a fly, you were out. You had to keep on the ground. And I can remember you always wrestling with him, beating up till he left in the Army and came back after training, and then he had built up a lot of muscles. Oh, jeez.
Remember Grandpa and I used to play pinochle?
Pinochle. Oh, God.
Up on Saturday afternoon, we'd play till supper time, play at evening till bedtime, get up in the morning, go to church, come home, play pinochle till the time to go home. Like 2.5 pinochle with him. You know, the last couple of weeks that he was alive, I went up there one Sunday night anyhow, Ma and I went up there. And I was in the kitchen, he was in the living room. He come out, he looked at me and he says, "You got your blasted nerve coming into my house." And I said, "What? Why? I mean, what did I do?" "You know what you did." And he stamped back into the living room. That's the last time I ever talked to him. Well, I said, "Let's get out of here. I know what's wrong, but let's get out of here." So we went on home. He was getting hardening of the arteries, and he turned on Paul, and,
Well, it started with some of it with Gil's and his died.
I don't know. Well,
He thought these people should have taken the kids, and those should have taken those kids, and...
Yeah, he was...
Remember that.
He was something else. But then, right after that, I had that stroke. Didn't last too long.
Oh, man.
But he and I were the best of buddies for all them years before. I mean,
I know.
I was his favorite son-in-law, I know that. Yes, there's Aunt Katie and Dana. Uncle Joe.
Oh, man,
Neil.
tell you.
Oh, my God.
Tell me about this place.
Hmm?
First of all, tell me, how about when you were still living in Sharon, when you were working for International, is that when were you going out with the redhead?
Hmm?
You tell me one here about all the girls that you dated all those different years.
I was going out with a redhead when I was in Sharon, yeah.
Yeah.
After I went to Youngstown, I still